Good morning, Gerald. Hope you're having a good morning. Good morning, Wendy. Oh, moving. So I guess that's a good thing. Good morning, Docs and Grandma. Israel to transfer PA money after deducting funds for Gaza. Pay for slave. Go figure. The Pope says he's not in good health. Biden is pushing to get rid of menthol cigarettes so the cartel can sell them on the black market. Go figure. Oh, that's part of the news. Good morning, everybody coming in. Good morning, Lucky Me, Linda. Morning, Jeff. How the dogs doing? How the dogs doing today? Yeah, and he's also talking about banning menthol cigarettes. Oh, but they love chopping wood. They like playing with it. That makes their day. They get to play with all the wood flying. They love it. Oh, it's fun watching them. Morning, Barbara. Oh, forget that. If it's not one thing, it's something else. Yeah, it's just what you don't need them hunting snakes. But hey, bring them back and share them with you. Ooh, what's that? I gotta look at that one. I have to look at that one. Okay, I'm going to show you guys something on what veterans have to deal with. This is from the VA themselves.
I was running until I wasn't. My hospital stay would have cost nearly $48,000, even with insurance. But with VA, I'll pay zero. And VA is the best, most affordable healthcare in America for veterans like me. Knowing that my family is waiting at home and a surprise medical bill isn't, that's good for my heart. My service was then, my benefits are now. Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
For those that have access to it. Yeah, I'm going to liven this up this morning just a little bit. Time to have fun.
Hey, right on down the line. Hey, right on down the line. Come on over. Come on over. War's not over. War's not over. So put your weapon next to mine. So put your weapon next to mine. Hey, right on down the line. Hey, right on down the line. A long, long time ago. Long, long time ago. Heard it on the radio. Heard it on the radio.
Break everybody up this morning.
Keep it in step. A long, long time ago. A long, long time ago. Heard it on the radio. Heard it on the radio. Sounds so good to me. Sounds so good to me. U.S. Army Cavalry. U.S. Army Cavalry. One guy is infantry. One guy is infantry. Go left.
Yeah, I'm going to find a better one. There's one I know out there. I got to find it. Okay, I found it. I like this one.
On a bright and sunny day, on a bright and sunny day, two little bears came out to play, two little bears came out to play, gathered up all their money, gathered up all their money, bought themselves a jar of honey, bought themselves a jar of honey, but the fat one ate it all, but the fat one ate it all, pushed the little one, watched him fall, pushed the little one, watched him fall, now the fat one's on the run, now the fat one's on the run, cause the little one, cause the little one, cause the little one's got a gun, cause the little one, cause the little one, cause the little one's got a gun. Yogi Bear is dead, Yogi Bear is dead, Boo Boo shot him in the head, Boo Boo shot him in the head. Yogi Bear is dead, Yogi Bear is dead, Boo Boo shot him in the head, Boo Boo shot him in the head. Ranger Rick stood on a hill, Ranger Rick stood on a hill, Ranger Rick he saw the kill, Ranger Rick he saw the kill. Now the Ranger's on the run, now the Ranger's on the run, cause the little one, cause the little one, cause the little one's got a gun, cause the little one, cause the little one, cause the little one's got a gun. Ranger Rick is dead, Ranger Rick is dead, Boo Boo shot him in the head, Boo Boo shot him in the head. Ranger Rick is dead, Ranger Rick is dead, Boo Boo shot him in the head, Boo Boo shot him in the head.
We'll do that one next. Read the captions. $7,000 since 9/11. 30,000 have committed suicide since coming home.
Out on the battlefield covered in blood. Out on the battlefield covered in blood. There's an airborne sapper dying in the mud. There's an airborne sapper dying in the mud. The enemy came closing in until the soldier fell. The enemy came closing in until the soldier fell. So with one final magazine he sent them all to hell. So with one final magazine he sent them all to hell. Fallen soldiers, we stand on your shoulders. We carry your legacy. Cause no one said that freedom's free. Fallen soldiers, we stand on your shoulders. I'll carry your legacy.
You know what? I don't care if Cactus goes live or not. Nobody's going to tell me when I can and cannot go live. Get that straight. I choose that.
There's a brand new private too afraid to shoot. There's a brand new private too afraid to shoot. The soldier to his left jumped on a hand grenade. The soldier to his left jumped on a hand grenade. And the gruesome price of war he paid. And the gruesome price of war he paid. Fallen soldiers, we stand on your shoulders. We carry your legacy. Cause no one said that freedom's free. Fallen soldiers, we stand on your shoulders. We carry your legacy. Till someday they remember me. Fallen soldiers, we stand on your shoulders. We carry your legacy. Cause no one said that freedom's free.
We're going to settle this right here, right now. Listen up. There is no time slot for anybody to go live. People can go live whenever the hell they want to. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of my room. I don't follow somebody's schedule. I go live when I want. If you're going to come in here and try starting shit, here, let me help you. Take that shit and shove it up your ass. There is no time slots for anybody. Anybody can go live anytime they want. We don't have to ask permission from nobody. Learn it. Fucking tired of this bullshit. Now go cry about that one. Welcome back, Freebird. I figured that'd get some people blood pumping this morning because they're very uplifting. And yeah, with what's going on in the Middle East, yeah, I do wish I was back in right now. I really do. Anybody else got any smart remarks to make this morning? That way I can handle them as well. Yeah, I'm just not going to put up with it. And thank you for your service, Toxin. Hang on a minute. I'll tell you real quick. He's got a complete series of songs. I got all of them. Jonathan Michael Fleming. Here, I'll put his name in the room. He is prior military, and he does cadences, and he was a DI as part of his duty. And he does amazing jobs on cadence. He's got a lot of them. He's got Medal of Valor. He's got songs for the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force. They're all cadences that are all being used today by active duty military personnel. He's a good singer. There's a couple of his cadences he actually sings in, and he's really good. And he has a YouTube channel. And you can find them all on his YouTube channel. A lot of people look back as to why they got out, when they got out, and if it was the right thing to do. Everybody goes through it. Like I said, I wish I was in right now because of what's going on in the Middle East. There's, to me, I still have unfinished business over there. And I should be over there right now to be able to finish it. But that's not going to happen. But I'm okay with it because I knew it was going to happen when I got out. Unfortunately, when you get out, you look back and you're thinking, well, I should have done this instead of this. And it happens. I think that's why I went back in the first time because of unfinished business. There were certain things I wanted to do I didn't get done, so I went re-upped and went back. And now I get called stolen valor. Go figure. But yet, none of them will go fill out that paperwork so they can go to prison. But they'll run their mouth. Because that's all they can do is run their mouth. And like I keep telling them, you think I'm stolen valor, fill out the goddamn paperwork, and I'll escort you to the jail cell. And then they start talking about, well, we'll contact Don Shipley. Contact Don Shipley. I don't give a fuck. You want his number? I'll give it to you. I don't care. Matter of fact, today I got to go out to Luke Air Force Base. That's going to be fun. I'm going to go out to Luke and drive around. Oh, it is. But these guys don't understand what he does. Chilled, you can go look on the internet and you can find the Schofield Bible. You can get a copy of it right off the internet. Good morning, Kit Kat. You're welcome. How you doing this morning, Kit Kat? Yeah, what happened yesterday? Something happened. I know Red streamed all night, trying to build up time frame on the backup channel. The only way he could do that was stream all night. I'm not even going to talk about that, Kit Kat. It ain't worth it. You know what? How many people get butt hurt because they get timed out? Nothing new. Same shit, just a different day. What it boiled down to. And to be honest, I don't care. Yeah. But see, but you got to look at the way it's interpreted. Because they're trying, they based the heartburn. They based interpretations off of what they think is trying to be portrayed in the passages. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because everybody has their own interpretation or their own understanding of what the Bible said. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just their interpretation. No, they don't twist it. They just put down what they perceive it to mean. That doesn't mean they're twisting it. It's just their interpretation of it. Just like when they were doing the Bible to begin with, trying to translate from a language that a lot of people didn't know about into a language that multiple people can understand, made it hard. Trying to make sure they got what they thought the interpretation of what was being said correctly. And that's why every so often they still go through the Bible and look it over. It's just their interpretation of what they believe is being said. And look at the differences between the King James Version and any other version of the Bible. It's all interpretation. The closest one to what was being put out there, believe it or not, is the King James Version. That's the closest one. But there's other versions of Bibles out there that interpreted it their way. Does it make it any less important than the King James Version? No. It's just a different interpretation of what was being said. That's all it is. It's just like historians. You can get a room full of historians together and have them write a book about history, and each one will come up with a different interpretation of what they thought history was. Or they'll put in it what happened in history from different angles. That's all that is. It's just different angles of what was being said. Well, there's only 3 main Bibles that get used for Christianity. The biggest one is the King James Version because it's the closest version. But you have other versions out there that aren't King James Version. But I'm going to go get me another cup of coffee. I'll be right back. Oh, it's throughout the entire Bible. Morning, Pete. Well, like I said, Pete, it's based on interpretations. But how many of you guys want me to film Luke Air Force Base? Because today being Monday, flight ops. It's hard to say, chilled. Wait a minute, Pete. Yeah, we'll do it the easy way. There you go, Pete. Well, if you think about it, from the very first writing of the Bible to what we see today, it all changes. It might not have been done intentionally. Who knows? We weren't there. But if you get a King James version from way back when and one today, they don't match. The interpretation has changed more and more because people are getting a better understanding of their version of what they thought was being said. Morning, Pete.
More.
Yet?
Well, I'll tell you.
I hear it now. You're getting your coffee. And you turned the pot.
Actually, this one's going to the wife. So
Oh,
I've already had mine.
Well, better make sure she gets hers or she's gonna beat you.
Well, happy wife, happy life.
Pretty much. If mama's not happy, nobody's happy.
That's right. So did you catch up on any sleep, Jeff? Or did you stay up with
I was up and down all night. Tomorrow I'm going over to the VA hospital and I'm going to have them check out my back.
What's going on, man?
For about a month now, it feels like I'm having muscle cramps, but they're not muscle cramps. It just won't go away.
Well,
I'm thinking more along the lines of either a herniated disc or a slip disc.
Well, that could be. Are you feeling any like pinching type thing?
Oh yeah.
Pain running down your leg and all that. You know, as they say the herniated disc and sciatic nerve and all that.
Yeah. I feel that every day. That's why I'm going to go in tomorrow and have them look at it. I figure I've been done with it for a month. I might as well go get it checked out.
Wouldn't be too surprised. It seems to be a common problem with a lot of us vets. You know, especially ones that were aboard ship as we get older.
Yeah, because people don't realize just how much abuse you do to your body on a ship during a storm.
Ain't no lie about that, Jeff.
And I've been through quite a few typhoons and hurricanes on a ship where I was walking on the wall, not the floor.
Yeah. People see, and that's something a lot of people really aren't able to comprehend because they've never entered that arena or that world. But imagine if your room tilted at let's say 10 or 20 degree angle.
Try 35 to 45 degree angle.
Yeah.
It literally gives a new meaning to walking on the wall. Because that's exactly what you do. You walk on the wall.
Yeah. There's been times when, I've kind of, having been on the old Adams class destroyer there
That's
back
what I
in
was
the day.
on.
Yeah. So I was on
USS
Samson.
Waddell.
I was on Samson DDG 10. They
I
just
was on DDG 24. And let me
Yep.
tell you, when those things hit a storm, you literally walk on the wall.
Yep.
And
Did
the last thing
yours
you
have
want to do is walk on a wall right next to the store.
Yeah. But that
Because you're afraid
sloping
to God you're
bow.
walking on the solid wall, not the wall that's got the window.
But boy, that sloping bow up front, the hurricane bow, made a difference, didn't it?
For the most part, yeah. But then again, there are those storms out there that no matter what you do, your body feels it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know. There's been times where we've been up on the bridge hitting a wave, and we're airborne.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
And then the ship comes crashing down, and then you come crashing down to the hard floor, which is solid steel.
Ain't that the truth? But
And it tears your body up.
yes, it does, and that's where a lot of people don't. As they get older, there's your coffee. The West
Yeah,
Knot,
it
yes.
catches up.
But yep.
It catches up in our older age.
Well, back in the days of wooden ships and iron men,
Yeah,
those days are long gone.
pretty much.
Yep. Yep, they have it. Oh, getting back to the Bible thing.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Jill that asked
Chilled,
about?
yeah.
Okay.
It was Chilled asking about the Schofield version.
Jill, it's hard to say whether, the books were intentionally left out or whether it was done for consolidation back in those days. I don't know. I wasn't around then.
Exactly.
Who knows? But it was done back in the days
of
of
reasons.
yeah, when they went from what was it back in the days of King Constantine? When they were translating it from Hebrew to
Yeah, and at the time of the translation, some of the translators were having problems understanding what the Hebrew was saying.
Yep. Oh yeah, yep. And there was
They
a
went
lot
off
of
of what they thought was the closest interpretation of what they were trying to say. And
Yep.
sometimes they hit it, sometimes they didn't.
Yep.
It was just what they thought they were trying to say.
But you know who's got the
And
real
that's what makes it
manuscripts?
so hard.
And this is the thing. This is what kills me about the Vatican. They have the original manuscripts and they've been hiding it for hundreds of or thousands of years.
Yeah, guess
They
where they're at?
know. Huh?
Guess where they're at?
Where?
Mount Rushmore.
Where did you get this information?
There is a safe in Washington's Head. There is a safe in Adams Head that our government uses to store valuable documents. Nobody knows they're there.
Well, Jeff, our government was not around. This land wasn't even
I know that.
inhabited.
No. It's just like at the Vatican. There's a lot of important paintings and stuff like the original Mona Lisa stored at the Vatican.
Wow.
More important domestic.
So
far.
I may disagree with that. There's a lot of people that have said various things about stuff like that you don't know whether it's accurate or whether it's not accurate.
Pretty much. They take something and then you guys sit there and, is this true or is this make believe?
Yeah. And IP, yeah. I can relate to that. I've had it happen to me. Jeff has, have you sneezed and all of a sudden your back hurts? It's like you popped your back and now all of a sudden you're in pain after sneezing. Yeah, I have. I don't know if that's what you go through, but
Well, the funny part is, it really didn't start hurting until a dirt road.
yeah, yeah,
And on that particular dirt road, I bent a front axle stabilizer shock on a bump. Well,
yeah,
who knows what did it? But it was
yeah,
after that road trip that it started hurting.
yeah,
And it wasn't a smooth road. It wasn't smooth at all. But I had fun.
yeah. Because as we get older, the cushions between our various discs in our
Well, no, no, but you got
vertebrae
to look at,
wear down.
well, that and your spinal cord gets compressed daily just off of gravity alone.
Yep.
Because gravity pulls your whole body downward, and that creates a lot of problems.
So has there been a lot of temperature changes out where you're living at? I mean, a lot
No,
of
no, right now it's 59 degrees.
yeah. But I mean, are you have you hit the time of season where all of a sudden temperature drops radically at night?
No,
Okay.
at 1 o'clock this morning it was 71 degrees outside.
Oh man, you guys got it made out there so
Oh,
far.
that's the problem. Too many people want to come here because of that.
Well, I don't think I'd want to be there when the invasion from the
Oh,
south
it's
gets
coming.
worse.
Oh, the invasion's coming. The snowbirds are coming. Happens every year.
No, I'm talking about the invasion across the border.
Oh, that happens every day.
Yeah.
And here's the funny part. Yesterday, some politicians in Washington D.C. actually pulled their head out of their ass. They grabbed their left ear, they grabbed their right ear, and they actually pulled their head out of their ass. And they all came to the conclusion and an agreement that yes, the border needs to be closed. Well,
You
shit.
think?
What the
Talk
hell took
about
you so long?
an epiphany 30 years too late. Yeah.
And the funny part is, two of them were Democrats.
Well, of course. They see,
What's wrong with
all them
that
people,
picture?
all them same people. I mean, here's the thing. Um, and I'm going to refer you to somebody called Forward Observer.
I
They
know who you're
had a,
talking about.
I listen to them daily. I mean, they're right smack on the mark there. And they're pretty good in, intelligence, you know,
Yeah,
assessing what's
I
going
watch
on.
them. I watch Anthony Guerrero. Oh, I was watching Anthony until just recently with a comment he made that just proved that he's down there for the wrong reason.
Yeah. Well, today's report was pretty much on the mark, and kind of they kind of went back and mentioned that had Trump gotten reelected, for 2020,
Uh-huh.
had he been allowed to claim his victory instead of being cheated by it, that all sorts of left wing groups in this country, the people already that were here that had snuck across the border, were set to disrupt everything from
Yeah.
launch day on, and they have a pretty good report on it. And they're right. I mean, I saw it, and I wasn't even for Trump, but I could see signs of it, and you know, just that being in Arizona, like where you guys are at, I'd be nervous Nelly right now. I would. That's why I mean Tennessee, where I'm at over here. Um, East Tennessee, for all you people that are wanting to know where I'm at, Toledo. God,
Oh, fuck them.
idiot. Anyway, you know, um, I think Tennessee's about the farthest um, towards the midsection of the country. That's the farthest west that I want to go at this point, because Tennessee, the people here still believe in standing their ground as far as, you know, if people from outside wanted to come in and try and invade per se, that we would stand our ground here. And like you guys have been getting invaded for so long. I don't know if people are or to the point where they're just wore down, or what. I mean,
There's a point where we're pissed off because we know nothing's going to be done about it.
I know, and it's too bad it's not fair to you guys. I mean, you folks in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California. mm, It's just nuts. I couldn't do it. I would be. I mean, I know
Well,
people.
the biggest problem we have here is law enforcement.
Well, they're overwhelmed too. Can you imagine trying to be a deputy sheriff or something, or working at the county level law enforcement there, let's say in Arizona or New Mexico at this point? I could. They're overwhelmed. I mean, because this problem should have been nipped in the bud at least 20 years ago. You know,
Oh
um,
yeah.
back when they created the Homeland Security, which sounded like defending the homeland. God, it sounded like World War II Germany, for God's sake. Jeez. But,
Oh, this in from the Hill 1 hour ago. Biden 2.0, the U.S. could double its undocumented immigration population.
and they're going to hand all those people automatic
Voting
voter
rights.
eligibility, and, and,
Yep.
and that's what Biden's banking on, staying power. These people that are in power now will not give it up. And this was mentioned too by Forward Observer. I mean, folks, I'm telling you, listen to this. Listen to those guys, because they're pretty accurate, and they're not wild and speculative. They they're pretty good in their assessment of what's going on daily with this country, and they're that would be a good source to listen to. You know, um, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they talked about that too. Yeah, all these people coming in that are gonna have, these folks that are in power now, like Biden and the Democrats. Even if they're to lose the elections, they won't give up power. They will not give it up.
No, they don't want
Lawfully.
to.
And
Democrats
so,
want to maintain power.
and here's the thing. You know why? Because they know a lot of people on the right talk about standing up and fighting, but they don't actually do it. Look at the left wing folks that were supporting Palestine. Look how they turned out this weekend. They turned out. I mean, I got to give them credit. They turned out. This is what the right wing, the people that are conservatives, the conservative people need to do something like that. And that, if they were to do that, what the people supporting Palestine, if they were to match that and stand up for the Constitution and turn out 100,000 plus in D.C. and some of the other cities, that would send a message. That's what I've been trying to say all along, and that's what's been needing to happen. But I mean, it is what it is, Jeff.
Oh
To
yeah,
get
I know.
people, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Pretty
And
much.
and and everybody knows I'm not conservative. I mean, I guess as I said, if I'm anything, being a former Bernie bro, cough cough, um, that I guess I'm,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
and they're independent liberal, I guess, or I don't know, moderate liberal. I'm just not aligned with any particular political party at this point, because I'm disgusted with all of them. And there's good enough reason to say that. And anybody that is, I mean, I don't know. if folks would actually stand up for the right things. And you don't have to be liberal or conservative to do that. You just have to believe in America. This, our country. Not Ukraine, not Israel, but our country, which needs our taxpayer money to go to our country, not everybody else in the world again, to be, submit to the empire.
But we both know that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I know. And then, and it's a sad state of affairs that we use taxpayer money, from people that are, scraping by paycheck to paycheck, that pay their taxes. That taxpayer money goes to sustain the empire, make other countries submit to our empire, whether it's us or NATO. Yet our people, like the veterans, already war damaged, hurting, don't know where to go, are on the street, homeless. Now, why in hell are we throwing any money at all to either Ukraine or Israel or any of the countries in Africa where we have troops, Africa Corps? Look it up, people. It's real. We're not a constitutional republic. We have become an empire, and that's where we strayed from our constitution. And this happened a long time ago, back from the 70s on. Google it. Don't buy what I'm saying. Google it, and you'll find out too. Anyway, with that said, Jeff, back to the Bible. We keep straying away from the Bible. I don't know what to tell you, folks. I mean, everybody has to make their own decisions on this. As far as everything we've been taught through the years, from our young days, when we went to church and our parents raised us in church, and our foundation was the Bible.
Lucky me.
Huh?
I was thinking, lucky me for becoming a member.
Yeah, I won't do it. I won't do it because you have to submit to somebody else telling you what to believe. I'm sorry, I can't do that
every day
anymore.
anyway.
I know, and I can't do that anymore. Especially now.
If you look at, seeing how we're talking about the Bible, look at these religions. You got your religion that believes in a higher power and believes if you live your life the right way, you'll do good. And then you got the same people in the same religion that are these hardcore fanatics that want to shove it down your throat.
Yep.
And they're telling you, religion.
And they're telling you that we must support Israel no matter what the cost, no matter how badly behaved Israel is right now. No, that's why I draw the line. No.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
that's like some people don't agree with me that I don't support either side, that I should support Israel. No, this has been a war going on between the two of them for 6,000 years.
Yep.
I don't support that.
Exactly. Whether, I will always support the Jewish people. I will always support the Palestinian people. You take the two leading authorities, such as the Israeli government, Netanyahu, who's a butcher.
And
they've
the
all been butchered.
Going the same way. Get rid of them and let these people live in peace.
Exactly. They're not allowed to live in peace because every time you've had a movement, whether it comes from the Jewish people or whether it comes from the Palestinian people, they've been suppressed and murdered.
Well, because they live in a dictatorship and they're told how to live their life.
Yep.
You know what? If I want somebody to tell me how to live my life, I would live in an HOA because basically that's what you get.
Yep.
You pay these people in an HOA to tell you how to live your life. No, hell with that.
But our compulsion to jump in and support Israel and throw all this money at them at all costs comes from APAC. Remember that? Remember that group, AIPAC?
They're still out. They're still out there.
Very powerful lobbying group. And they have all of our politicians, people in Congress, people in the leadership, executive branch, compromised. You know how they did that? To Jeffrey
They put
Epstein,
money in
the
their back
CIA.
pocket.
Yep. They're all
They put the
compromised.
money in their back pocket.
So whenever Israel gets in trouble, we're the first to defend them, even though they may be horribly wrong. And our taxpayer money, instead of going to our people that are in need, goes to them. This is the problem I have with both, no matter who's in the White House, no matter who's running the show. Our taxpayer dollars end up going to a foreign country that in the long run could give a damn less about us.
Well,
Do you think they're gonna?
the sad part right now, this government is playing with a double-sided sword.
Yep.
Because our government is giving money to both Palestine and Israel at the same time.
And the problem is,
They're
there are a
paying for
lot of
this
people,
war to continue.
and there are a lot of people, Jeff, that were not alive when Israel attacked the U.S. Navy ship, the USS Liberty.
I know.
Everybody, look it up. Listen to the YouTube documentary about it. It will horrify you. And if you've never heard of it, you need to now, because I'm telling you. Israel savagely attacked our sailors in 1967. Tried to
Both sides
murder
are
them,
terrorists.
sink the ship. Huh?
Yeah, both sides are terrorists.
Yeah. Yep. Israel started
People don't see that.
Israel started the 1967 Arab-Israeli War. They started it to gain more territory. They've been taking territory. They've been taking and taking and taking territory from the Palestinians, from the Arab people. You don't just forcefully take it without people trying to fight back. And that's what's going on with the Palestinian people. They're trying to fight back to hang on to their homeland. And it's being taken, and taken. And they're sick of it. That's where I have to sympathize with the Palestinian people. And I know
here's
a lot of people may have heartache with it, but that's what it is.
Here's something for you, Pete. Breaking news. Israeli forces sever North Gaza from what rest of the Strip as Palestinian death tolls tops 10,000. Oh, here, we're going to do something. The documentary you were talking about, Pete? Here we go.
On June 6, 1967, Israeli Air Force fighters attacked Egyptian air bases, destroying 80% of their air assets. June 7th, the air forces of Jordan and Syria were also destroyed, mostly on the ground, but the war was being monitored. The United States and other nations had a vested interest in what was transpiring in the Middle East, and gathering intelligence was critical for both political and strategic military planning. What was the USS Liberty? Why was it in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea during the Six-Day War? Why did Israeli air and naval forces attack an American ship? Why was so much effort put into the cover-up after the event? Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, a veteran of the United States Army and Marine Corps,
That's been there 2
former
days.
history professor, book author, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History. USS Liberty was a floating CIA intelligence gathering platform monitoring all transmissions from all sources involved in the 1967 Six-Day War.
NSA, not
Israeli progress
CIA.
was followed, as well as the Arab coalition of Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, known as the United Arab Republic. As a result, Israel secured Sinai, all of Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. But Israeli intelligence had reported to Chief of Israeli Naval Operations, Admiral Issi Rahar, that a ship had fired upon El Arish in Sinai. This was proven to be a ruse. The only ship in that area was the USS Liberty, which flew the U.S. flag and was in international waters. In what was described by both President Lyndon B. Johnson and the Israeli government as a case of mistaken identity, Israeli air and naval assets attacked the USS Liberty on June 8th, killing 34 Americans and wounding 172 of the 294-man crew. Previously, the United States had announced that it had no naval forces within hundreds of miles of the battlefront on the floor of the United Nations a few days earlier. However, the USS Liberty was assigned to monitor the fighting. As a result of a series of United States communication failures, whereby messages directing the ship not to approach within 100 miles were not received by the Liberty, the ship sailed to within 14 miles off the Sinai coast. Also notified of the supposed attack upon El Arish were Colonel Shmuel Kislev, head of Israeli Air Force operations, and General Yeshayahu Benket, the head of Israeli Air Force intelligence. Kislev told his pilots that, quote, if they could confirm that it was a military ship, they could hit it, end quote. The naval contingent was also on the alert. Beneket wanted to have positive identification of the ship that may have been involved. Israeli Dassault Mirage fighters passed by and gave their report. The flight leader confirmed that it was an American ship. More Israeli fighters attacked at 14:05 hours for 20 minutes, firing cannons, machine guns, and rockets, and one report from the first pilot who hit the ship stated that oil was leaking. During that time, on board Liberty, radioman Terry Halbardier and Glenn Oliphant followed the captain's order and broadcast in the clear that they were under attack by unknown forces and needed assistance, but their communications antennae were then damaged. They performed a manual repair and began transmitting in the open as their secure channel was being jammed. The Sixth Fleet received the SOS and informed the commander of the carrier task force on board the USS Saratoga, Captain Joseph Tully, who called and launched 12 F-4 Phantom fighters to assist Liberty. And the hotline between Washington, D.C. and Moscow was activated. Moscow was informed that American aircraft were being launched only to surmise the situation regarding the Liberty, not to get involved in the war. But as the Phantoms were en route just minutes away from saving the Liberty, it was reported that Secretary of Defense Robert Strange McNamara mysteriously had them recalled. The only way a SecDef could do that was by presidential authority. Johnson knew the truth, and he was part of the problem. The next wave of Israeli aircraft arrived after the Phantoms returned to the Saratoga, and these were Dassault Super Mystirs with napalm and canister bombs. One pilot called out the ship's identification as Charlie Tango Romeo 5, and that there is no flag on her. This was a strange report, as the previous recon flight clearly stated that there was an American flag, and the ship was identified as such. It is believed that this call was made as a ruse to cover the Israelis should these attacks be recorded by third parties. When that transmission was made, Colonel Kislev ordered all aircraft to stop the attack, as he believed that the ship was, in fact, American from the call sign. But the Israeli commander of the torpedo boat squadron, Moshe Oren, stated that he was not informed that there was a recall from an attack, and was informed, in fact, that it was the Egyptian freighter, the El Qasir. Therefore, he launched 3 motor torpedo boats. The order to halt all attacks, which followed the second wave of fighters, was supposedly not received by the naval assets, whose 3 torpedo boats launched 6 torpedoes at the Liberty, with 5 failing to hit target, but the one that did contact killed 25 men and wounded many more. This account is in great dispute. However, the Israeli argument of misidentification fails for several reasons. One being that if they believed it was an Egyptian ship, why did they specifically jam the secure American radio frequency, which were specifically narrow bands? Another problem was the identification issue, in that the Liberty, at 10,150 tons, was 5 times larger than the ship they claimed to have mistaken for the Liberty. Both ships had totally different profiles. In addition, if the attack was a simple error, why were the Israeli jets unmarked, bearing no Israeli symbols, carrying no national identification, in violation of international law? Had the F-4 Phantoms from the Saratoga not been recalled, the torpedo boats would not have been able to engage, and the majority of the men would not have been killed and wounded. The official American position was that Israel called and said that they had recognized their mistake and the attack was over. So therefore, in response, McNamara recalled the jets. However, the attacks were then renewed for another 80 minutes. This was a strange development, since the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv reported that the Israelis had attacked a ship, but the nationality of the ship was yet undetermined by Israel. If this was true, how would McNamara know to recall the Phantoms, and that it was in fact the Liberty? The SOS was resent after the damaged antenna was repaired again, and it was picked up this time by the aircraft carrier USS America, and 2 ships were dispatched. 3 life rafts were deployed so men could get off the burning ship, but the torpedo boats focused their fire, destroying 2 of the life rafts and sweeping the decks to kill as many men as they could to prevent an evacuation. That act alone is a violation of the Geneva Convention, not to mention attacking a ship from a non-belligerent nation in international waters. Another strange development was when, after the 2-hour attack, the ship and crew headed to Malta, the 6th Fleet Commander, Rear Admiral Isaac Kidd, ordered the survivors to remove the ship's name from their uniforms. In fact, Admiral Kidd even ordered them to go ashore in civilian clothes, which the men were not supposed to have anyway. They were also told to grant no interviews and do not discuss the situation, even among each other. Otherwise, they would face court-martial and prison, or, even worse, for violating national security. Both Israelis and Americans involved had their opinions on what happened and why. One voice was that of Navy Captain Dr. Richard Kiefer, who was wounded badly himself but worked for 28 hours straight saving lives when he could. He received the Silver Star. Captain William McConaughey received the Medal of Honor for his efforts following the 13 repetitious attacks after his bridge crew were killed, himself badly wounded. His recollection was that the aircraft hit the ship from every direction in multiple waves. Since the attack involved the Israeli Air Force and Navy, that made it a combined arms attack, meaning that it was coordinated, which also meant that command authority came from the seat of government. The military did not simply attack an unknown ship in international waters, let alone an American ship, without orders. All the crew believed the ship was clearly identified as American, as there were reconnaissance aircraft that passed by close enough for the crew to look into the cockpits. Several high-ranking American military and political persons knew at that time that the attack was deliberate. The question was why. The cover-up was incredible. For example, the press was given limited information to downplay the event. The men were sworn to secrecy, and the Judge Advocate General of the Navy, Admiral Merlin Starling, was given only 24 hours to review the 600-page Court of Inquiry investigation report. He had great reservations about the veracity of the report. In fact, the Navy inquiry did not allow any testimony or evidence regarding the unmarked Israeli aircraft. No information was included about the life rafts that were shot up, or the electronics transmission jamming, or even McNamara's recall of the American fighters. This was the first and only time in U.S. history that a board of inquiry refused to accept testimony from American service members who survived an attack and only accepted the statements of the forces that had attacked them. Bill LeMay, a crewman, was given the name tag Smith, removed from a hospital ward with a dozen other patients and placed into a single room. A naval officer soon entered and told him that his name was now Smith, that he was never on the Liberty, and he was never to discuss the matter. In another completely absurd and totally insane turn of events, the Senate records, as well as the Medal of Honor Society, recorded that Captain McGonagall's Medal of Honor was earned in Vietnam, not off the Sinai Peninsula. His Medal of Honor citation mentions no specific geographic location and does not mention who the enemy was. Also, this ship's log was also altered to fit the Israeli timeline, supporting that only after 20 minutes of engagement, the ship was attacked for a total of 50 minutes and not 2 hours, breaking off contact after they realized their error. This was obviously not true. But why the cover-up? Why the attack? Over the years, logic mandates that the Israelis knew that the Liberty was a communications gathering spy ship and would be listening in on all communications, Arab and Israeli. Their push into the Golan Heights, as well as their attack in the Sinai, would have been recorded in real time by the Liberty. In fact, the director of the National Security Agency, Marshall Carter, stated that he believed the attack was deliberate so that Israel could maintain the secrecy of their operations. Sinking the ship and killing all on board was the only way for Israel to have accomplished that mission. The CIA transcripts were handed to the American ambassador in Lebanon at that time. The transcripts clearly show that the pilots, upon reaching Liberty, reported that it was an American ship. Their war room ordered them to attack. Again, the flight commander repeated his warning that the ship was American. Again, he was told, "You have your orders," and the attack started. These reports were also supported by an EC-121 airborne surveillance aircraft operated by the National Security Agency, which also recorded these transmissions, confirming that Israel knew the ship was American. They even stated in their own radio transmissions that they saw the flag. And this was true for both the air and naval assets involved in the attack, contradicting their official statements. What came to light later was the justification for sinking the Liberty and killing the crew. Moshe Dayan, the commander-in-chief of Israeli forces, had ordered the attack. This was due to the fact that Israeli commanders in the field were authorized to execute Egyptian prisoners of war rather than lose time transporting and securing them. Israeli military historian Uri Milstein claimed that there were many incidents in the 1967 war in which Egyptian soldiers were killed by Israeli troops after they had raised their hands in surrender. It was not an official policy, but there was an atmosphere that it was okay to do it, Milstein said. Some commanders decided to do it, others refused, but everyone knew about it. Declassified Israeli Defense Force documents show that on June 11, 1967, the operations branch of the General Staff felt it necessary to issue new orders concerning the treatment of prisoners. The order read that, because existing orders were contradictory, thus, 1. Soldiers and civilians who surrendered were not to be hurt by any means. 2. Soldiers and civilians who possessed a weapon and failed to surrender would be killed. However, soldiers caught disobeying the order by killing prisoners would be severely punished. Now, this appears to be damage control and could only have been issued from Dayan due to the Israeli knowledge that they did not destroy the Liberty and that intercept transmissions could prove these criminal actions. This appears to be a classic case of covering their collective rear ends. If this information were to have gotten out, it would prove that Israel was committing war crimes, and the Liberty was a known intelligence gathering source. Israel's legitimacy was already in question since they launched the preemptive strike on Arab airfields, as their intelligence supposedly had information that the Arab forces were preparing to launch attacks against Israel. American officials at the highest level would have known this, including President Johnson and Robert McNamara. It does not take a great stretch of logic to understand why the cover-up took place and from where it originated. The United States could not afford to have its great ally Israel accused of war crimes. The USA and NATO also had great interest in seeing the Israelis win because a victory would reduce the effectiveness of the influence the Soviet Union had with the United Arab Republic, which was the coalition of Jordan, Syria, and Egypt. It would also hopefully reduce the interest of Saudi Arabia in funding the United Arab Republic triumvirate if their efforts seemed to be a lost cause. An Israeli victory would have also ensured that the Suez Canal would remain open, which benefited the USA and NATO. The US had good reasons for a cover-up. There are contradictory reports available where US officials claimed to have debunked the murders of Egyptian POWs as the reason for the attack, supporting the Israeli attack as mistaken identity. That is also part of the cover-up, because later, murdered Egyptian soldiers were found in shallow graves, and the Israeli government offered reparations to the families of the men who were identified. In May 1968, the Israeli government paid $3.32 million US dollars, the equivalent of $28 million in 2022, to the US government in compensation for the families of the 34 men killed in the attack. In March 1969, Israel paid a further $3.57 million, or $28.5 million in 2022, to the men who had been wounded. In December 1980, it agreed to pay $6 million, or $21.3 million in 2022 money, as the final settlement for material damage to Liberty itself, plus 13 years of interest. Several prominent Americans, generals, admirals, and even Medal of Honor recipients, as well as the surviving crew, have asked for a full congressional investigation into the attack and the cover-up for decades. Personally, I doubt that will ever happen. Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please click like, subscribe, and share. Send us comments and show ideas, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Until next time.
And the funny thing about the U.S. Liberty, it was a communication ship, which means it had no weapons to be able to defend itself, other than 50 caliber machine guns. That was it. It was a ship that was a sitting duck. And it was a cover-up all the way around. All the way around.
Okay, a lot of the information that the narrator had disclosed, a lot of that was suppressed for almost 20 years, or actually 10 years. A lot of that was not known to the public. And any disclosure by anybody in the military, whether it be if they were in at that time, or whether they found out about it after the fact. People were subject to court-martial and prison for disclosing that. I'm not kidding. It was one of those things, anything surrounding the USS Liberty incident, that was a tightly guarded secret for years. And had the public known about it, our support for Israel, or our blanket support for Israel, without question, would have ended back in 1967. People need to know about that now. And this is why I refuse to support the war criminals of Israel. Moshe Dayan was a major war criminal back then. I remember him, the guy with the patch over his eye. He's a butcher. The person leading Israel now, Netanyahu, who clings to power illegally after shutting down the Israeli Supreme Court that ruled he committed criminal acts. He's a butcher. They all belong in front of the Hague, including our government officials that are supporting this garbage.
Yeah.
And the rant.
And not to sidetrack anything, look at me, Linda. I know Fox just reported it, but that nuclear submarine showed up in the Middle East.
Yep.
Friday morning.
Everybody, you hear that big giant sucking sound that we're getting dragged into the war of our lives? Because they have information Israel possesses information on our U.S. government officials that would cause a major, major cataclysm in our country. This is how they gain, quote unquote, in quotation marks. This is how they gain our support, by blackmail. I'm not kidding, people. It's real.
Well, like I said, that submarine ended up in the Middle East on Friday, and they're just now reporting on it. It's been there for 2 days.
They actually don't need to be reporting on any
Well, that's
any of our assets like
mainstream
that.
media. They're behind and they lie.
Let me tell you something. We're gonna lose. We're gonna lose a ship. The way this is going.
We're going to lose more than that.
Well, I
Well, think about it.
I
We're going to
just
lose more
feel
than that.
horrible for our men and women that are right now in harm's way because of all this stupidity.
Well, they want World War III, and that's what they're going to get. They're pushing for
Yep.
it.
And the merchants of death. Your defense contractors and your intelligence contractors are grinning like fat cats right now because it's
Yeah, 'cause they know
all
it's
about
coming.
money. It's all about the
The
money.
problem is once they do go to World War III or conflict of interest, because they won't classify the war so they make more money, we will get hit on American soil. And that's what's been put out there by multiple countries.
Yep. Well, Jeff, I'm going to drop down and finish eating breakfast here. I'll go ahead and listen to you, but folks.
I was getting ready to shut down anyway, Pete, because I got to go out to Luke Air Force Base.
Yeah. Well, good luck on that, man. Let me know how you're doing with it. And folks,
Then I go out to Luke, and then I'm
I'm
going to go over to the VA and have them look at my back.
and for all you folks supporting Israel, we're not condemning you. I mean,
And you can
there's a
support
lot of
Ukraine.
things you don't know. And, it's your choice. If you want to support Israel, that's your choice. You have the right to make that choice. But don't condemn the rest of us that don't support Israel. There are reasons that we don't. And it's reasons like this that we do not.
Well, some people don't have the information like you and I would have. And
Not their fault, though.
And no, I'm
It's
not
their
saying
fault.
it is. I'm not saying it is. And that's why we look at it the way we do, and they look at it the way they do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And this is where a lot of people
Am I
are
going to condemn
struggling.
them? No. I'm not going to condemn them. I'm not going to cut them down. I'm not going to browbeat them or anything else. That's their choice, and they're entitled to that.
I can understand a lot of people's struggles right now because we were taught from when we were toddlers that our support for Israel was supposed to be unquestionable loyalty because of the doctrine of the church. Whether we were Protestant or whether we were Catholic, or you know what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
and that was because of the Bible, whether it be King James or whether it be the new adulterated version that was more adulterated. The King James version was adulterated, people. And I know a lot of, that's, as some people would say, we're preaching,
Choir.
yeah. I mean, coming to terms with it is hard. I mean, there's years and years and years that I was taught all this, and that was part of my, DNA to, believe, as far, don't get me wrong, I still believe in God, still believe, Christ is our Savior. But this unquestionable loyalty towards Israel it was based on manipulated fact, and it needs to you really dig into things and really see what's going on that hasn't been disclosed to you? Would you still feel the same once you know the bigger picture? I don't know. That's up to you. And I'm not going to tell people how to think and what to believe in when it comes to supporting Israel or not supporting Israel. I'm going to support the Jewish people and the Palestinian people regardless, because they're the ones caught in the middle of this mess. End of rant. Jeff, I got to go. I got to eat breakfast, and good luck today, man.
You have a good day there, Pete. You and your wife both. Be safe. Have a good day.
You too, man. Take care.
Yeah, some people say it's a scare tactic. No, it's not. All I gotta say is open your eyes and look what's coming. You can see it out there. Because there's absolutely no reason whatsoever for us to have a nuclear submarine in the Middle East. None. And I know what that submarine's carrying. They don't need to be over there. At all. I'm not going to say what weapon is on that submarine, but I do know what it is. And no, it doesn't need to be there, nor do we need to be there. It's not our battle. But unfortunately, this government is making it our battle. Because our government wants it there, because they're trying to set up for World War III. Because, children, if you understood what missiles were on that submarine, you'd have a heart attack. Just one missile will wipe out an entire town. The warheads are 6.5 tons of nuclear explosives rolled up in a ball. And that particular submarine that's over there's got 27 of them. 27. And every chamber is fully loaded. And most submarine nuke subs don't load up all their chambers. This one's got all of its chambers loaded. That's not good. Because usually on a deployment, a submarine will carry half loaded, half unloaded. This particular submarine was fully loaded before it left. Unheard of. And the reason they go half and half is to help with the buoyancy of the sub. But this particular sub, which is a California type submarine, and I'm not going to go into details on it, was fully loaded. First time I've ever heard them fully loading a sub. That's scary. Because they even took off the test missiles and put active missiles in place of them. That's not good. That's asking for problems. And they fully loaded it with torpedoes. So you're talking about a sub that normally weighs on a standard cruise roughly 20 million pounds or 20 tons, now weighs 80 tons. We just fully loaded. All we can do is ask for God's forgiveness and wish for peace and not war. And the same reason there are guided missile destroyers, guided missile cruisers, a battleship that launches Volkswagens, 2 aircraft carriers that have, between the 2 of them, about 120 planes. Can ask the same question on all of that. Because Gerald R. Ford carries 75 planes. The other carrier that went over there carries 45 planes. 130 planes. Plus 2 different battle groups and other ships that have been patrolling the Persian Gulf. No, I don't. Because, and the reason I say that, no, the reason I say that is we pay for all of this. We pay for it all. I understand they don't want other countries finding out about it. But at the same time, the people who foot the bill, which is we the people, should be notified of the intentions. Because that's our tax dollars being used and getting destroyed. Because we paid for those. We paid for them. And the Gerald R. Ford cost the American people in excess of $340 million to have built. I think the American people need to know where that's going. Well, all they got to do is say, okay, we're sending this, and this ship is going on deployment, and leave it at that. You don't have to say where they're going, but at least let the people know these ships are going out. Because right now, as it stands, the United States of America has over $800 trillion worth of machinery floating in the Middle East. That's just in the Navy. That does not include the Air Force jets that are over there, the Army equipment that's over there with the Army units that are over there, the Marine equipment that's over there with the Marine units over there. That's just the Navy. $800 trillion worth of floating around. That's just what's there with the Navy. 800 trillion. Now you add in the Air Force, the Army, and the Marines. Look at the price tag. And the sad part is, when the Army and the Marines leave, that equipment will be left behind. Just hand it away. How's that fair to the American people who pay for it? They did the same thing in Benghazi. Well, I believe that we need to pass a law that before the United States of America gets involved in any conflict, it's got to be put to a vote for we the people, and let we the people make that decision, not our government. Because obviously they aren't thinking right, and they show that every day. But you and I both know that will never happen. Just like they will never do term limits again. That will never happen either. But that, what we deal with every single day. It's nothing new. Some people just choose to close their eyes to it because they don't want they don't want to admit this is going on. And that's their choice. And you can't dung them for it. Some people are afraid to look at what's actually going on, and that's up to them. Some of us actually pay attention to what's going on because we've been there. We saw this coming. But the people who don't want to see it, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, who wants to be told you've been lied to for 20, 30, 40, 50 years by your government? Nobody. But that's what we deal with. That's a hard pill to swallow. People that you put into office that you thought you could trust to do the right thing for you has stabbed you in the back. That's a hard pill. It really is. But that's the case. And it's not going to change. Well, Pete, they're also in violation of the Geneva Convention, because if you look at the Geneva Convention, it clearly states in there no country will purposely antagonize another country to start a war. And with all that we have over there right now is antagonizing them. We're over there in force with the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, the Marines. That's antagonizing people. And according to the Geneva Convention, we're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to antagonize to incite a war. And that's what we're doing. So they're also in violation of the Geneva Convention. But apparently they don't care. And yeah, I see a false flag coming too. I see somebody doing something stupid and people are going to respond the wrong way. And we will be at war. Because they won't think it through before they respond. They're just going to respond. We don't, but our government thinks we do. That's the problem. It's not our responsibility. But on Our government wants to be not a superpower, the superpower. And that's why they do what they do. They put us in this shit because they want to be the almighty, powerful country in the world. And the only way they can do that is do what they're doing. And that falls back onto why are they trying to get the NWO going? New World Order. Simple. One nation controls the entire world. And our politicians want to be that nation. That's why. And I don't agree with it. But that's just me. That's my opinion. Some might agree with it, some might not. That's their opinion. Doesn't matter. They're entitled to it. Because I'm a firm believer, war is not the answer. War creates more problems. Because when you go to war, innocent people get hurt and killed. Innocent people. People have nothing to do with it. They're the ones that get hurt and killed. That's not how you solve a problem. That just compounds to the problem. But with that being said, they should. America should take care of Americans, but that's not going to happen. But with that being said, you all be good, be safe, may God watch over all of you. I got to make a trip out to Luke Air Force Base and then headed over to the VA. Prayers to all of you. You all have a great Monday. And enjoy your day. Peace.